Welcome to Ask Me Anything, featuring spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.
Hi, everybody. I'm a spiritual medium and an author and psychotherapist, Kellee White, and welcome to Ask Me Anything today on October 30th, 2025. I've got lots to say today, lots. So I'm really excited about it. And I'm just going to say hi to a few people, and then I'm going to jump on into so many things that I do want to talk about, because this energy, I know I say this every week, I probably say it for the rest forever. This is big energy. These are large times. So let me say hi to some people here. Hi, Melissa. If nobody believes in unexplained visits and nobody comes to see you, but yet you had an invitation dream and it was on your birthday. So what was that? Well, it sounds like you had an unexplained visit to surprise you on your birthday, Melissa. So congratulations. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing when we get surprise visits from our loved ones. I like to have them when I'm asleep. When I'm awake, it's a little bit much. Hi, Carolyn East. Hi, Kellee. I'm wondering if a spirit remains connected to this world. Does that mean that they never have crossed the veil, or are they able to go back and forth but choose to stay here? So, Carolyn, that's a great question, and I'm going to talk about that on my talk. So I will answer that question. So thank you for that. Hi, Sherry. She says, pay attention to your dreams. And you said that you had a dream of a beautiful falcon sitting on the high garden fence with other little birds. As you know, that would never happen in real life. This is true, because the falcon on Earth would inhale the little birds. But falcon means visionary power. And it was your dream, Sherry. So this is an excellent totem for you to remember. Always remember this. It's visionary power and wisdom. So that's a great dream, Sherry. So hi, Rick East. We went to Sacramento this past week, and I saw two childhood friends. Memory banks opened wide. Ooh, I bet. Was seeing them a trigger? Absolutely. Could more be happening? I'm seeing movie reels when I'm asleep and conscious. Yeah, Rick, you absolutely unleash a portal there of memories, maybe things that had been closed for a long time for a lot of reasons. Who knows? Pay attention to these. These are really powerful times for everybody. And pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to the people you meet, pay attention to any triggers that go on, because this is a great energy to use to clear up blockages or anything like that, so that we can raise our consciousness. So Rick, maybe was there a situation with any of these people that you saw that, caused some trauma? Is that a possibility? Did somebody, unconsciously, were you blocked for some reason did something cause that? When we're young, our little egos are, they're not formed quite yet. So things can happen along the way there. So pay attention, Rick. That's an extraordinary experience. I remember when my mom wanted me to go to my high school. I had a high school reunion. And I was like, why would I want to go? I really didn't want to go. But she said, no, I think it'll unlock some memories for you. This was after my head injury. And I still couldn't remember anything. But I kind of had a couple of things that came up. So pay attention. Okay. And Sherry says, my garden is filled with birds. That's fabulous. And I love, how much I love the birds. I think that's so great. Hi, Sarah Stone. She says, a popular DJ radio personality passed away yesterday. They say that he died in his sleep. Do you think maybe that when that happens, that they just go from their dream and leaving as part of that dream? Could be part of the dream, absolutely, or it could just be just such an easy way to go. I mean, we should all be so blessed to go in such an easy way, actually. I think that's amazing. The other thing that I will say is that in the last less than 15 hours, I would have to say, within 15 hours, two of my closest people to me lost two of their closest people to them. And suddenly, just suddenly. So we're at this energetic opening portal, this Halloween, as we get to that area, which is tomorrow. And the energy it's a portal that opens up. And James and I just did a show on that on Tuesday. If you haven't listened to it, it was very good. It was about what happens in this time period. And so I think that we're going to see a lot of people, that did not sign up for to be on Earth going forward. So a lot of sudden endings. I think we're going to be seeing that. So that was interesting. Hi, Toby. Happy to see you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Gabrielle says, hi, Gabrielle. She says, looking forward to the release of my audiobook. Thank you, Gabrielle. I really appreciate that. November 1st. It's a soft rollout, but my audiobook will be available, which I will be talking about it, which I'm really excited about it. Super excited because a lot of people ask me about having an audiobook. So, hi, Renee. So, Renee Rossiter says, beautiful blessings, Kelly. It's been absolutely awe-inducing. She says, I've been hearing Mavis. So, Mavis Patilla, just really one of the great loves, one of my great loves, and Janet No Havoc. And those two were truly unearthed some of the best mediums ever. And more than that, they were deep spiritual like liaisons, if you will. They were so incredible, these two, and they were dear friends. And I was there when they met. I remember when they met because I was there in New York, and it was incredible. But so anyway, she says that I have never. Oh, so you've been hearing them, Mavis and Janet, lately. That's incredible, Renee. And it's funny because I've been. Here, James and I were just talking about this. We've been, thinking a lot about Mavis and hearing Mavis a lot. And you're saying that you had never had this type of spirit communication before. So that's incredible, Renee. I mean, they're great. So listen to the messages that you're getting, and I'm going to talk about how we get messages tonight too. So you'll have an idea for people that don't know. Hi, Dee Dee. She says, Kelly, happy Halloween Eve. Yay. And you saw an owl Tuesday and Wednesday. So cool. 6 a.m. this week in the same spot. So beautiful. Wow, Dee Dee, that's extraordinary. Owls are the female psychic. I love when I get to see an owl. They make me so very happy. Love owls. Hi, Leslie. It's I think this is amazing. Hi, Jean. How are you, my friend? Hi, Stacy. Yes. Hi, Jen. Hi, Karen. Hi, Catherine. Catherine says, odd question maybe, but say a spirit hasn't crossed yet. Okay. If they are with us and they see what we are doing, can they also learn from a podcast like yours if they are watching it? I'm going to say yes on that. It's a great question. Odd as it is, I love that question. Yes. Now, if a soul, and we're going to talk about this in just a few minutes, if a soul, for whatever reason, really doesn't want to go on, just kind of wants to linger, will they learn something? Here's the better question. Did that soul have a personality disorder? See, lots of things to think about. Hi, Laura. Hope your husband is doing okay. I was thinking about him today, Laura. I hope, because I know you've had some loss. I know he did. Your family has. Hi, Sasha. He says, I've been seeing more and amazing things since I've come to America. Yay, Sasha. Renee and I have been seeing loved ones roaming around the house daily. Wow, Sasha. That's amazing. Well, pay attention. As James says, start looking. You can see these things. And I wanted to mention to you, Sasha, that you had asked about a little black and white picture that I had back there. And my husband was funny. He said, you didn't read that question from Sasha. I said, well, I didn't see it. I'm sorry. So I'm answering it now. So it was a picture of me when I was about 3 years old with my sister and my grandparents. I think my dad is in the picture too. So a long time ago, but it was a good one. So, all right, I've got a lot of things to talk about. I'm going to start with a little bit of the astrology right now, just so I can explain this energy, because we're headed into November, and November energy is, I think, going to be emotional, deep, intense, because we're going to have Mars transiting. It already started on October 27th into Scorpio in Vedic astrology through December 7th. So basically all of November, we're going to have Mars in Scorpio, and Mars rules Scorpio along with Ketu. So that it amplifies the intensity of this time period. And at the same time, Mars is at like 0 to 1 degree. And so is Saturn in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. They're at 0 degrees. So when you have that 0 degrees, 0 to 1, it makes everything like, think full force, 0. It's like full force. And they're all in water signs. So Saturn is in Pisces, which is a water sign. Jupiter's in Cancer, which is a water sign. And Mars in Scorpio, water sign. And all of that water will make an emotional time and a volatile time. So passions are going to run really high. That could lead to power struggles. Just be mindful, everybody, of, anger. And as my dad used to say, he's a trumpet player, and he used to say, strive for tone. So I'm going to say strive for constructive communication. Strive for it, okay? Do your best. Is this energy for the month of November has so much Scorpio energy in it that it makes it intense. And then on November 5th, we have a full moon in Aries in Vedic astrology, and it's in the nakshatra called Bharani. And that is also, it's emotional intensity with this, because Aries is also ruled by Mars, and there's a strong urge at this time for this full moon, like, I don't know, to assert yourself and to take charge, which is what Aries does. But also it's an energy of this full moon of, endings and transformation. So this will be a full moon on November 5th that will probably illuminate areas in your life. So things, maybe some difficult truths that you'll need to look at. Again, this energy is not backing down. So when things come up for you, pay attention, because the idea on Earth will always be to shift your consciousness. So when you leave the body on Earth, and when you go to the other side, you go with the same consciousness. So you want to get into the best consciousness state that you can, what does that look like? It looks like forgiveness, compassion, dealing with your own traumas, dealing with your own stuff, and I think it's really, really just an important message to remember. And this energy that we all wanted to be here during this time, kicking and screaming, this is a powerful energy for change. I don't think there's ever been an energy like this that will help us, and more resources to go to about changing your consciousness. And that's what I'm talking about. Now, the other thing is, and this is like the last thing I'm going to say about this, we are in what's called the pre-shadow period of this Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. So Mercury will be in Scorpio November 9th to the 29th. And it is going to be retrograde. Okay, so it's in Scorpio, retrograde. A lot of emotions, again, with watch your speaking, watch the way you communicate. And it's already begun. I mean, things are going to start to break down. Mercury rules communication and travel. So in Scorpio can be manipulative. It can be many things, but it can be manipulative. So watch, I'm going to use a term that people use now, watch gaslighting. Pay attention to a lot of things here. So, and we'll talk about that, next week. I'll go really deep into the astrology of it. But I kind of wanted to give you a little feel for November. It's a big month, as they say. It's large. I just came back from Texas, so everything's large there. It's large. And now we're going to talk about which is the topic tonight, which is about ghosts and spirits and unexplained visits. And I'm taking this in a kind of an angle that I think is important, because a lot of the questions that I get are, why would souls linger? Like, why would they linger here on Earth? And I know a lot of people are thinking, I wouldn't linger. I'm like taking right off. But from a psychological perspective, and then I'll move into a spiritual perspective of it. But from a psychological perspective, unfinished business. I mean, one of the greatest books that James wrote was called Unfinished Business. And if you haven't read it, it'd be a great book for you to read if you're interested in this. But it could be, why would a soul linger? A soul may linger for unfinished business, but also unresolved trauma. Again, the buzzword, trauma. It's a real thing. And from a psychological standpoint, the soul lingering could be seen as maybe it's a manifestation of unresolved issues in life that could involve trauma. How about this one? Guilt, regret, significant emotional pain that was never processed. That's why it's so important to process, become aware of whatever happened, become aware of it, and then really think about it, process it, and so the soul may remain here because it's trying to resolve some of these issues. Now, having said that, and I mentioned this on Tuesday's show with James, I had a dream. So watch your dreams, everybody. You're going to hear me say that a lot, but almost more now than ever, because the veil is thin. And my mom came to me the other day in a dream, and I'll just explain this one again. She said to me, I just want you to know, she said, that I'm working with my patients. My mother was a psychologist. She said, I'm working with my patients who passed away, that are on the other side with her, to help them process their life on Earth. Now, I don't know if this was something that, and it's always been done, I suspect, but it felt more like almost unusual. Like now, like souls on that side are getting even more help than ever. That's what it felt like to me. And she said that it was very important after the life review. So that you do a life review and, I could have done better on this. I could have done better at that, whatever. Or you did great on this and this. Whenever. Nobody is perfect. Everybody's going to have quite a handful in their life review. But what I got from my mom was that the things that had given them the most trouble, maybe it had been a child, maybe it had been their own mother, maybe it had been a spouse, maybe it had been, like these traumas that come up, and her helping them process them. And then in turn, she said, from that moment, she said, she teaches a class to help those people, souls on the other side, to help them work with their soul family on Earth, to help them with the traumas that they may have caused even. So we're going to get more help here than we have, I think, I've ever actually. I think we're going to get so much help now, particularly now. So I thought that was really very important. And so another reason why a soul would linger, it might be there's an attachment to a loved one, or an attachment to a place. So it could be some strong emotional bond to people that are living, or it could be a very special place. Also, it could be a desire to protect the soul or guide them, or simply remain close just so they could be close. I've seen that as a medium. I've seen that a lot. So it could be another thing that would perhaps why a soul would linger is they may have a fear of the unknown. I mean, maybe they were told that they were bad and they were going to go to hell. So, like whatever the belief system is one we travel with. So you want to have a real good belief system in place here, A spiritual one is the best one, I think, to have. But a fear of judgment or a fear that they were going to be punished, that could be one. Now, another one, and I have seen this before, and I know James has seen this before, is a denial of death. So let's say somebody dies suddenly or unexpectedly. They may not fully grasp that they've passed. I mean, that could happen. And so maybe for a period of time, they're a little disoriented, but that clears up. So from a spiritual perspective, why a soul would linger. So again, they might be, there could be attachments, they're more earthbound, they have unresolved issues tends to be it, or a lack of, again, a lack of awareness that they made a transition. Could be some karmic ties, but it could be that they're helping their loved ones. Again, some souls consciously choose to stay near their loved ones to help them maybe during a difficult time. That's absolutely. The other reason is, and I think this is an important one, is the soul contract. So we have soul contracts before we incarnate. We have soul contracts. So it could be that part of fulfilling the soul contract, whether for them it's to learn a lesson that they didn't learn yet, or to help somebody else with a specific task. Now, after my dad died, I saw him more dead than I did when he was alive. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And that little guy, I was like, whoa. I always wanted a dad. There he was. So a lot. And he helps me. And I think it's because he frankly owed it to me on a lot of levels. But it's been I love the relationship I have with him now. Well, it's not easy on earth. But anyway, so and how do loved ones reach out to us, which is another good, question here when you talk about ghosts and spirits. First of all, dreams, they lower their vibration. We raise our vibration. It's really, really important. And these dreams may be really vivid, and sometimes they just go in a flash. Sometimes, you have a conversation. Sometimes you can't remember it. It's a muscle. Try to remember it if you can. As soon as I always tell myself I'm going to remember, especially when it's one with somebody that I love. My mom is really important. Don't worry, Dad, I love you too. And I always remember those, because usually the ones with my dad are hysterical. I mean, my dad had the best sense of humor. He should have been a comedian. It was really funny. His timing was unbelievable. So his dreams to me were unbelievable. Anyway, look for, in your dreams. Okay. Signs and symbols. That's really important. So let's say somebody loved roses. All of a sudden, these roses start popping up. Or somebody had a particular song. Oh my gosh, that's a big one. All of a sudden, a song goes on, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute. And I will tell you, as my grandson the other day pointed out when he thought of my mom out of the blue, it was a pop-in. So they get a pop-in. You get a pop-in, something like this. You also, how do you know a loved one is there? You may feel it. The sensation is all of a sudden, it's like an unexplained warmth or an unexplained love or an unexplained sense of something, Synchronicities is another one. And I'll never forget this one. And I don't think I even shared this with Don, but when his cousin Sue died, when did Sue die? Like 3 months ago? She hadn't been gone that long. And she, I know, would love this story. I kept seeing her name everywhere. Susan, Sue, Susan, Sue. It's like, so what is going on here? That was definitely a sign from her. No doubt about it. But again, so you might hear their name. You may see their name. But your intuition is really important, because please know that they are actively trying to get our attention, actively trying to get it. Now, another thing is you may see objects move. That was my case. I had a lot of objects moving. And the other day I told the story of my client whose husband had passed, I think 5 years ago. And she said to me, oh, I really don't hear from him anymore. But they had this little pig that was a squeaker pig, and it had been on her desk. And as I said, oh, he's around. You don't have to worry. He's always around. And then that squeaker toy just kept going off and off. I said, oh my gosh, he's right here with us. So also, how do we tell the difference between our imagination or a true spirit communication? Great question. It's unexpected. When you get something unexpected, that communication that comes unexpectedly, like you're not actively trying, like most of the time, I'm not trying, except when I'm in a session with a medium, as a medium. But even then, I sit back. I had a wild experience today. I worked I think this is happening a lot now. I worked with a man who was for mediumship, and out of the blue, actually, it wasn't even for mediumship. It was actually for yearly readings. I do different types of readings, but whatever reading I do, I stay open to any messages. And all of a sudden I heard this name, and I said, wait a minute, I've got a man named so-and-so here. And he stopped and he said, well, that's my uncle. But he said, but he died when the uncle was 14. So my client hadn't been born yet. So I said, looks like in an accident. He said, yeah, he died in an accident. And I said, whoa, it looks like a big one. It wasn't like a little accident. And he said to me, well, actually, he said, I hadn't thought about this in a very long time. He said, my father and my uncle, his father was 12, his father was 12, his uncle was 14. His uncle was killed in a mine accident. They were coal miners, and something had blown up. And the father survived at 12. But the reason this is important is this family constellation from my client is something he hadn't thought of, and yet was carrying that energy because of different things that had happened in his life. He had blocked this whole thing out because in his mind it probably wasn't relevant. But I am telling you, it was extremely relevant for a lot of reasons. Exploding anger, exploding all kinds of things. There was a lot of reasons. So I'm sharing this story because it can come in a reading. It can come you just go visit your childhood friends. It could come in any form. But all of a sudden, the soul on the other side will impress on you something to learn, because you're opening up pathways and portals that are important for releasing old traumas, old wounds, and you may be the one in your family that does that. So I think it's really important that you do that. Okay. So I think I'm going to stop there, but there's, anyway, wait, was there one last thing I was going to talk about with that? It's, well, I think I got it all. I take that back. But, the last thing I'll say is emotional impact. So if you are having a real emotional impact from a message, that's a real thing. If it brings love and comfort, it should not bring fear and anxiety or confusion. Okay? Not at all. It's really, all this work is to bring comfort. That's what this is all about. So I think that's important that I wanted to say tonight with everything. And I am going to get to some questions, but guess what, everybody? I have a couple of guests here for a few minutes here. I have my two dearest friends here with me. Hello. Here we go.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
So good to see you.
It's great to see you. Oh my gosh. I love your background, Carrie. And Shirley, I love your background.
Thank you.
Wow. It's so good to see you guys. Well, we may be saying, why do I have these two great guests here? And I'm going to tell you why. We're going to be talking about roots of healing for a few minutes here.
Yeah.
Which is important. Did you hear the story that I was talking about with the coal miner?
Yeah.
I was thinking about you, Carrie, as I told that story.
I know, it's heartbreaking.
Well,
I see it a lot too, because in previous generations, nobody was talking about anything, right? And so, I love that you brought up the point of like, they probably didn't think it was relevant. And that's what will keep the pattern returning.
Well, you just said something really important. Those generations didn't talk. They were like, like this. Well, guess what? Because if you heard me talking about my mom on the other side, and she was like, oh no, they're processing now and they're going to help us because somebody here on earth, so many of us are going to be the ones that either spill the beans or break up the old nonsense, right? The old whatever the story is here. And that's the work that we do is, opening that portal up for people so they can have some peace. They don't even know what they're carrying. Would you agree with that, Carrie? They don't even know what they're carrying?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been awake my whole life and I didn't even know. I knew that I had a sense. I always felt trapped, but I had no reason to feel trapped. And then in my first constellation, my grandmother died my maternal grandmother, who I don't know, died very tragically. And when I stood on her paper, I was like, oh, this is how I have felt my whole life. And she died when I was like 4. So you can absolutely carry it.
Yeah.
And for your client, I would ask him, what happened to him around 12, 13, 14. Because typically it'll repeat around the same age in my work.
Oh, interesting.
I wish I had thought of that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to remember that because you're right. It would. The energy would be like held there or something.
Yeah.
It would repeat.
So sometimes it'll be like the same, like my grandmother died in a very tragic car accident. And then in future generations, like someone could lose a home or like get divorced or pass away. Sometimes the trauma shows up in my work the same exact way. Other times it's like going through a massive loss in some other way.
Wow.
Yeah.
And surely you work with trauma of the somatic of it. I had a woman today and I thought about you, Shirley. I thought about you so much. She was doing this. Watch what she was doing when she was telling me her story. This was more of a therapy, spiritual counseling. But she had gone through a horrific relationship and escaped with her life. And she was doing this, like this, which means my hands are, if you're listening to this in an audio, my hands were pushing out is what she was doing. Can you explain that trauma response?
Well, that protective response, which is part of the fight response, got stuck because maybe it didn't get to complete. And so in my work, when I see someone doing that, then I'll pause, I'll slow things down and have them do it very slowly. Because the slower you go, the more the fibers and the muscles communicate with the brain. Wow. So you do it very slowly and then they stop and we rest and we notice what happens inside. And many times they just feel like energy because then that impulse that got stuck is then able to get released.
Oh no!
Yeah, wow. I notice some people when they're talking to me about something, where they just make a quick fist, and that, to me, can be energy.
Sure.
So then that's where you go. That's kind of good. So their body will speak to me. Their body will guide me as to where kind of I need to go. And you're always curious. You can never assume something, but but you can ask with curiosity to see if there's something there.
Right. Wow. Well, we're all here talking about all of this because we have an upcoming class that we're going to be teaching that involves all of this. Yeah. Were you going to say something, Carrie? I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say like that happens in constellation fields and people are in the field and they're not aware that they're like, or like this, like, and I always tell them, I'm like, the body will tell us exactly where the energy is stuck, even generationally. So,
even generaally.
Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating to me, even generationally.
I know. It breaks my brain. I think it's so cool.
Oh, me too.
but I can, and if I use my mom from the other side with her helping her patients that have been here process all the traumas, what we're doing together, the three of us, are really trying to help the souls on earth now with going through their traumas or releasing their traumas from a generational standpoint to a moment-to-moment standpoint to where we are now. And from my end of it, from a spiritual standpoint, and why would we even take on this? But in actuality, our souls, we can say we're newborns right here. When, in a newborn, that's really not accurate though. A soul is new on earth or new in the situation, but they're very old souls that come in, and they bring with them this energy already. They bring with this energy, so they are in their family, and there's so much work to be done, I think, with that.
Yeah. I see it also as kind of healing and releasing as much as you can while you're a human here on Earth. Yeah, so then when you go to the other side, you can do less work and you can just enjoy being, in the universe and just kind of floating around.
So I hope that's the case, Cheryl, because we've done a lot of work here, I just want to float around.
I hope that's the case. I'm going to go with what you said earlier on, that that's what I believe. So that's what I'll be doing, girls. When I'm on the other side, imagine me floating through the stars.
Oh my gosh. I hope there's a big spa over there. Right?
Yeah. Amen. Yeah.
Amen. Just a good old spa. That's what we need. Oh my God. That's so funny. If anybody is interested, we have a class on November 15th, and we only do this class literally once a year. This year was our second time, and we did it in person in June, which was spectacular. Yeah, but you can get this class. It's called Roots of Healing. And Shirley, talk about what you're going to be talking about with this.
Well, we're going to be talking about chaos.
Yes, chaos. Yeah.
Because we always have, Roots of Healing is kind of our, I don't know, we can call it brand, right? Because we're going to heal from the root. And in this case, I think we're going to focus a little bit on chaos. And as we know, many of us were born, with a lot of chaos as a child. And that shows up as an adult. When someone talks to me as an adult and they say I'm anxious, then it informs what questions I'm going to ask, because then I have a sense that their childhood felt chaotic, that it didn't feel safe. And so then I'll start asking. So unless it's anxiety about an event that happened, as an adult, if they have pervasive anxiety, that more often means they didn't feel very safe as a child. And so then I'll ask questions about what the environment might have been. And then we can heal it, because, it's all kind of all that is stuck in the body.
Total.
And so then again, I'll go into the body, and, it can also be very rigid. Sometimes we have very controlling childhoods. And so we end up being very rigid as adults, which can also be viewed kind of as under the umbrella of chaos. It's just the opposite.
Well, it's controlled.
Yeah, right.
It's controlled. Yeah. Oh, Lord. There's so many which ways we can go with this. And Carrie, you're going to be doing a family constellation. Do you want to explain briefly what that means?
Yeah, so family constellation therapy is a way to clean up generational trauma. So they have done all these scientific studies through epigenetics that we may be carrying in our cells, trauma, stories, pain from up to 14 generations back. So my work really heals all of the energy going backwards and forwards. And so chaos, there's lots of chaos in family systems. So I am going to be doing a constellation on ancestral pain and how that can really show up in our lives. And my intention is to always return us to our core identity and our core energy.
Oh my God, that's incredible. And this is healing work that goes, way beyond the surface here. So if you are available November 15th, it's on Zoom, and it's what we like to do is we will send it to everybody after they've seen it. After we've recorded it, we'll send it to everybody who signs up for this. But it's really incredible work here.
Let's tell them we're going to do it from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yep.
And with the recording, the beautiful thing about family constellation therapy, the field, they call it the knowing field. So it's the soul's consciousness of your entire family system from start to finish. The field is hyper intuitive. So if you do it with me on Saturday, when we meet in our group, if you wanted to do it the following week, it'll take you, it's like peeling an onion. It'll take you to another layer. So you can just set it up at home, which is really powerful to revisit it if you feel called.
Really powerful.
Wow. So you don't have to do it in real time. You can do it again from the recording.
Which is trippy. I have a membership group and we do monthly constellations together. And sometimes people can't join because of work or commitments with kids, and they set them up because the field is just so intelligent. So the field will open and you just set the papers up as if I was doing it, and then follow my voice, like follow the prompts. Wow. So.
And Carrie has a wonderful app, everybody. And tell everybody what your app is called.
Yeah, I have a monthly membership group called Legacy of Love. And so we meet monthly and we do group constellations. And I have a guest speaker each month that I call Magic Makers. We actually had a really cool one last night. A healthcare professional came on and talked about somatic therapy and ketamine treatments.
Ooh.
And it was really interesting. It was really, really fascinating. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, this is so exciting. So everybody join us. You can find this on kelleewhite.com. It's under events. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon. I'm so excited, everybody. So thanks for joining us. And I will see you later.
We'll see you soon. Okay.
All right. Bye, girls. Thank you. I'll see you guys later. I love those gals so much. Those dear, dear friends. I just love them. And I'm going to be talking about karmic imprints for that. So please join us. I also just want to mention that on November 7th to the 9th, we have the All Souls Retreat with Jen Weigel and Amy O'Keefe at the beautiful Abbey Resort in Fontana, Wisconsin. Seriously, I'm going to be there. I'm speaking about empaths, and I have a twist on how I'm going to be talking about it. I'm really excited, but I found out there's just a few slots left if you would like to join us. If you're even thinking about it, please join us. It's a weekend. It's an extraordinary weekend with great speakers, really great speakers, and a really loving community. So I think that would be, just a really cool thing. And I also forgot that tomorrow I am hosting, it's 5:00 somewhere on my app, and it's a wonderful group. And if you are so inclined, go to my website and learn all about that, because it's really fun. And I have calendar openings this week in November. I have some openings in November. And I think that's it. And I have some questions, and this was a great question. Carlene Reese, she says, Kelly, I have a question about your book. Okay. She says, regarding Jacob, that was not his real name. So I had to think about that. But I call him Jacob in the book. She says, if I understand correctly, he was a starseed. Yes, he was a starseed. And she said, and he knew what universe he was from. Yes, that's correct. She said, I'm completely fascinated by the starseed topic. Do most starseeds know where they come from, or even that they are one? And could I have Jacob as a guest on the show? Well, let me just say something. I'll tell you why I can't, because I met him. I write about this in my book. He was the first person I ever met that said to me that he wasn't from here, that he was a traveler, and that he was from Alpha Centauri, I believe. And he is a traveler. So travelers from other dimensions like to travel around. So no, probably would not be a guest on the show. Good question, though. They love the land, which is what he was doing the last time I spoke to him, traveling on the land, and they love music, and they're here for peace. So starseeds, do they know where they've come from? Many do. Many have an idea of where they've come from, but almost all of them recognize they're not from around here. And how do they recognize this? They feel like Earth isn't there. They're visiting here. Like the families are different. The way they view things are different. They may feel like a loner. They may feel so different that they have a hard time adjusting here. And because I saw this fellow, it was about in 2006, I think. And this was before I went to grad school, before, I was working as a medium, but I had never heard of this before. And it really opened me up in a way to view souls that were having trouble on Earth. They were not from around here. And often many of them are suicidal because they just don't understand the energy here. They don't fit in. They're upset. Anyway, so I actually offer a starseed session, Carlene, so which is interesting to me. Okay, so Laura Crum. Hi, Laura. She says, can a black cape-shaped figure that never hit the floor and travels from house to house with a person be a shadow person and or a ghost? Yeah, I would say, I'd say that would be like some sort of oddball ghost. Yeah. And they're out there, some sort of energy lingering, black cape. How original. So that is an odd one, but I mean, for sure, Laura. And she says that there was no trauma when it first appeared 56 years ago. Wow. Now, I have no idea what that would be about or why they do that. Who knows? And Nancy Dominic, your birthday is January 2nd, which makes you a queen of Spades. Queen of Spades, very powerful. And let me get you a card from James is Talking to Heaven. Let me get you a card here, honey, from your beloved husband. Here we go. My death was painless. Don't worry about anything and don't hold on to guilt. There you go. Okay, so grab you that. I know he loves you so much. Kim Ann says, Kellee, I just heard an interesting and compelling idea about how we are born intuitive, yes, and why most of us lose that later in life. We are born with more water in our bodies, and water retains memory. So the theory is, as we get older, we lose some of that water, and at the same time, some of our abilities. That makes sense, Kim. I mean, water is really, really important. It's funny because often we'll say, Pisces are very, very spiritual or very psychic or very intuitive. A lot of water around that. So maybe if you have, like my moon is in Cancer, water sign. So it's a lot of water. Yeah, I think there's something to that. And Julie Musterman says, Kellee, if we don't have any cards, like tarot cards or any of that, she says, which ones would you recommend for a beginner? Well, I don't do tarot at all, but I love simple cards. I love angel cards. That's probably how I would start with. Or even any deck from James. James has some great decks out there. So I would probably go with anything like that. There are a lot of good ones out there. 2 days in a row, Scott. Yay. And Rita says, happy Halloween. Hi, Rita. Oh, my gosh. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Sandy. So sweet. Oh, yeah, I have a pumpkin back there. Pretty flowers, but I also have a pumpkin with a hat on it. Okay. Oh, Frank, it's your birthday next week. Let's get you a card from the angel numbers. Happy birthday, Frank. On November 7. November 7 here. Whoops, let me get these. I love these angel number cards. I love these cards. I think they're so great. Let's get you a card, Frank. Here we go. 272. 272. Confidence. 272. Well, that's interesting because November 7th, November is an 11. That's a 2. And a 7. That's very interesting. There you go. That's a good one. Have confidence there, Frank. They're watching out for you for sure. For sure they are. Let's see here. Hi, everybody. Let me see. Yeah, Patricia, the veil is very, very thin. You want to get a message from your beloved? You betcha. This is for you, Patricia. We will be together again. I love those kind of messages. And I promise you all will be together with your loved ones. And no doubt about it. You will be together with your loved one. Dolly says I don't think that's right. Your 196-year-old mother-in-law just passed? I think you mean, if she was 196, that's amazing. I've never heard that one. But you mean 96, I'm guessing. She just passed on October 25th. I'm sorry, Dolly. There's a lot. 106. She was 106. Wow. She was 106. Wow. That's a long one. That is a heck of a life, right? Wow. Thank you, Gail. So sweet. Patty Morris says, Kellee, I've mentioned my husband before with health issues. Just heard he's in AFib again. I don't know what they will do next. Already had procedures and it's still coming back. So 925. 925 is that Jack of Hearts. 925, I just want to make sure. I'm sorry, the Queen of Hearts. There's a lot of emotions with that. And the heart represents a lot of emotions. Just set good energy. Keep your husband nice and calm again. AFib is a deal, something to look after for sure. I know it puts everybody, on edge with that one, but just keep it calm. Okay. So Patricia says, do you think that cremation isn't the proper way to separate the soul from the body? Oh, I think cremation is fine. Absolutely fine. Because what happens is the soul leaves the body right away anyway. It's like an old suitcase, just drops the old suitcase and, what James called the old meat locker and off they go. So no, that's fine. Oh my gosh. Deb says, hi, Deb Ralston. She says, I know 3 people who were found on their floor and passed from either a massive stroke or heart attack in the past couple of weeks. Right, Deb? That's what I'm talking about. It is like sudden, I'm out. Now, I guess if you're going to go, it's probably a good way. A little traumatic, probably for the ones left behind. So yeah, and they do match it. Nuts. I lost high school friends and one of my mom's friends. Sandy said that you lost high school friends and one of your mom's friends recently. Then I'm assuming it's nuts. I'm telling you, there are a lot of people checking out right now. They just are. Oh, thank you, Melissa. I love that. I love that too. Marilyn says we lost a friend suddenly. He was only 37 years old. So difficult to accept. Oh, yeah, Vaismere. That is I've got chills. That one's around, Marilyn. That one I could feel. You know, they didn't sign up. They signed up for that period of time. It's the way we have to view this because, we don't know what their bigger purpose on life on Earth was to do, and on the other side. So, Lori Sherbert says, Kelly, I love watching you and James do shows together. Thank you. And we were wearing our costumes. I look forward to this every week. Oh, thanks, honey. Yes. So you are 729. 729 is a Queen of Hearts, another Queen of Hearts. So Queen of Hearts is all about a lot of emotions, the mothering. Let's get you a card, Lori. Ooh, 525. Time to reshape. So reshape. Okay. So reshape. I'm not sure what that means, but time to do it. Reshape. I'm going to reshape. I have no idea what that means. Jen says, so sad people are leaving. It is sad. Classmate at your daughter's college passed away earlier this week. I'm telling you, so many I'm hearing about. News out today, it was suicide. Oh, that's a hard one. Now that one's a hard one. Prayers for the family and college friends. A lot of compassion is needed on earth. Everybody's got to have compassion for whatever that soul was going through. It was a lot and overwhelmed probably. And it happens on earth. Earth's a tough school. So a lot of love. Be kind, everybody. This is such a deep time. So Barb Scott says, can you please pull a card to see if I should move? Let's get you a card here from the angels. Whoop. Ooh, 2424. Unconditional love. Here's what I would say about that, Barb. 2424. Oh, and your birthday is August 24. Look for something, a house with a 24 in it. Okay? I think that probably is a message there with that for sure. Hi, Linda Thomas. Okay, Annie says, Kelly, I canceled my knee replacement to see my cardiologist over that heart attack. Thanks for the card last week. You're welcome. Oh, well, good. I mean, heart usually, takes over, trumps the knee. So that's important. Jackie Grace says, how best can we support a friend in grief? Thank you for that question. Even though we know he's around in spirit, listen to your friend. Be there for your friend. Go where she is. If she wants to be alone, leave her alone. If bring her some soup, bring her some muffins. Just let her know that you're there for her. I think that's the best thing. Listen. Let her tell a story over and over and over. That's okay. It's good. Let her, talk about, it's a lot. When you've lost somebody, the kind of grief that you go through, you never know how you're going to feel from moment to moment. So, don't give up on her. Always just support her with a lot of love and compassion. That's what anybody can do for families that are in grief, or anybody in particular that are in grief. When I got this call yesterday from a dear, dear friend who was out of the country when her friend died, and it was a good friend of hers, a best friend, I was watching the Dodger game. I am from LA. And I literally stopped the game, went in the other room, and, started, communicating with her right away with my friend. Because she was out of the country, so I couldn't pick up the phone and call her, but we were texting back and forth. I just wanted her to know that I was there for her and that I am there for her. And so that's one of the things that we can do. Just be there for somebody. I think that's really important. Annie says, I saged on Tuesday, but a spirit is still knocking things over where none is the last 2 days. I hate when they do that. It's interesting. Well, open a lot of the windows up. And if you don't want that spirit in there, just say, out, time to go, out, go next door, go anywhere. You can do that. Okay, Connie Hamilton says, I was wondering, my boyfriend had cancer. Sorry, and he just passed. Oh, there's so much of that. He was very angry, a very contagious spirit pass over and carry his personality. So if he was angry when he passed, odds are probably pissed off. And he didn't want to get cancer. Maybe he wanted to live. So there are guides on the other side that will work with him. There are therapists on the other side that will work with him, to transmute that anger into love and compassion for what he went through and why his soul chose cancer. Why did this happen? Why was this his exit point? So they'll be working with him on deep, deep loss, Connie, and to get through to the anger. And some souls do carry anger over there. That's right, they do. It's interesting. But there's all kinds of therapy on that side for them. And often they get the help that they need. They do. They get the help that they need. Okay. Melissa says, I have a question. Why is everything happening in your birthday month? Well, it's a good month for things to happen. Okay. Gail said, I had a moose in my yard today and it wouldn't let us leave. Now that was definitely be a sign. I mean, moose are very family oriented. They're very protective, but also moose means action. So look at the action that you're needing to take now. Moose is it's a big one. Look that one up. That's a big one. Okay, Spirit 555 says, Kellee, you're a bright spot in my week. Thank you. I'm trying to strive, right? Strive for time. Considering a serious career change out of real estate towards travel. Well, let's get you a card for that. You bet. Ooh, you're going to love this. First of all, 555 means to travel. But this card is even better. 1111, make a wish. Put your intention on exactly what you're looking forward to doing. It'll happen. These are powerful energies, folks. It'll happen. Alicia Ann says, Kellee, we are looking to put an offer on a house around the week of 11/10. We absolutely love it, but there's a bit of a history. Pay attention to this history. The wife filed for divorce. Oh boy. And the husband killed her and himself in the house. Any advice to buy it for cleansing? Yeah, here's my advice. No, if I found out that history, I couldn't even be in the same area. Yeah, but I understand that people are drawn to those kind of things. Yeah, I would not be. So I wouldn't even know how to clear the energy on something like that. I mean, it would be a mindset. You'd have to go in with, none of that matters to me like that. I don't think like that, period. So I'm sorry, Alicia, I can't help you, but just hearing that story is like, whoo, Lord have mercy. Gosh, what is it about that house that you like? Now, here's the other thing. Mercury goes retrograde on the 9th, but we're already in this pre-shadow of it, the 9th to the 29th. So pretty much all of November, Mercury retrograde is not necessarily the time that we buy anything, because things can go haywire, especially this Mercury retrograde with all this water energy around it. But also hearing the story of that house, yikes. Yeah, not a 10-foot pole, as they say. Okay, Kathy Pengelli says, I wake up with scratches on my arms and my back. I have no idea where they come from. Any ideas? I don't have any idea. Scratches on your arms? Do you sleep? Is there a cat nearby? I don't know. I have no idea, Kathy. Now spiritually, I don't have a clue on that one. Are you angry? Are you moving about? Are you scratching yourself here? There's something going on. So anyway, please. And then Patricia says, please talk about reincarnation with James and how we reincarnated with our beloved ones here. So do we recognize them while we are here on Earth? Yes. James and I will definitely talk about that, but yeah, we recognize, you can recognize the soul recognition. My little granddaughter has a friend His name is Henry. And I will tell you what, those two, from the moment they saw each other, they have never separated. It's the damnedest thing you've ever seen. And it brings such a smile to all of us. But it's like soul recognition, these two. They have such soul recognition. It's unbelievable. So yes, souls on Earth we're getting a lot of help on Earth at this time. Okay. Okay, this is my last one. Michelle DeFelice. I'm missing my daughter who passed on Mother's Day. Oh, let me get you a card, honey, from her. Ooh. I send you loving signs through nature, and I have chills, and it's butterflies. All right, I had to get that one for you. Oh, God bless you. Okay, she's around you, Michelle. She's around you. All right, everybody, I'll see you. Some of you I'll see tomorrow at 5 o'clock somewhere, where I will be drinking a cocktail tomorrow night. And what else? Let's see. James and I have a great show on Tuesday, so watch our show on Tuesday. And then I'll see you guys next Thursday. So take care, my friends. Have a really good week, okay? Strive for tone, as my dad would say. Bye.
You've been listening to Ask Me Anything, featuring spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.